Welcome back, it's nice to see you again. Today we're continuing the series of tutorials where we're recreating MCU effects in Apple Motion and Final Cut Pro. First of all, big shout out to my Patreon supporters, Jay and Jason, thank you so much. If you would like to get access to all my finished project files as I'm building these effects, check out the link right below the like button. Alright, with that, let's just jump right into this effect. Okay, so this is the effect we're going to try to accomplish. This is the title card for Thor Love and Thunder. To get this project started, we're going to come over here to Pixelmator. If you don't have Pixelmator, that's fine. You can just draw part of this by hand. It's just easier to do a part of the outline in Pixelmator. So we're going to start there. First things first is we're going to go ahead and hide our image layer that is our background. We don't need that. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to pick our text tool and we're just going to type out Thor. Once we have Thor typed out, we're going to pick a font that feels a little closer to the title card. The original is clearly a hand-drawn picture. It is not a font. So we're just going to get as close as we can here. And I think Baskerville actually looks pretty good. Now, once we have the text in place, centered, nice and large like a film title card should be, we're going to go ahead and duplicate it. Now, the duplicate we're going to convert into a shape. And that's the part that is difficult to do in Motion. Once we have it duplicated, you can just go ahead and select all of these and we're just going to change the style from a fill style. We're going to replace that with an outline stroke style. I'm just going to pick black with, I don't know, a decently thick border so it's easy to see. And that's all we need to do here in Pixelmator. Just export it over to Apple Motion and we're done. Now that we have it exported as an Apple Motion project, we're just going to go ahead and open up that project. If you don't have Pixelmator, you're just going to create a new Motion project. My settings were 30 frames per second, 5 seconds long, but neither of those really matter. Let me give you a tour around this project. So we have our image layer at the bottom, which we don't need. We can go ahead and delete that. We have our text layer, which is our main text, and then we have our outlines, which are going to serve two purposes. The first thing that we want to accomplish is we're going to step by step change the values of the gradient on the text and make it look like the gradient on the Love and Thunder title cards. This is pretty easy. You just change the face type to gradient, expand the gradient, and go ahead and pick some different selection points where you can apply different colors. Depending on your settings, you might have to move these around a little bit to make sure all of the colors are on screen and aligned with the edges of the text. But once you have that, we can move on to adding an outline. Now, the reason why we're not doing an outline here as one of the text settings is because we're going to make it extrude into the background and make it 3D text the way that the title card is. And if we have a yellow outline on the edges, it would make yellow be the extruded edge all the way back, which is not what we want. We want the colors to go back with it. So we have those as separate layers. Now that we have our gradient looking just right, let's come up here to our outline layers. We're just going to right click to duplicate it. This top one we're going to rename to be lightning. We're going to reuse our outlines to make the lightning effect that zips around the outside of the text. Now let's expand the one that's just our normal outline. We're going to select all of these shapes and we're just going to come in here and we're going to change the color from black to just sort of a yellowy gold color. There's a lot you can do here to add gradients and things and make it look more three-dimensional, but for our effect, a nice yellowish gold looks pretty good. I'm going to dial back the width as well. I feel like it's a little overwhelming, and with that you have a look that is really close. So we can come back over here to our Thor text, we can come up here to our effects, and we can add the extrude filter. The extrude filter has a few settings that you should know about. The most important one I think is the angle. So we're just going to dial that around to 270. That's pointing straight down. You could have it pointing any direction you want. I'm going to increase the distance just to give it a little bit more depth and then shrink the back size, and that really sells it as a 3D effect. Now, you might notice that the shading is off, and that's because the front and the back face are just too bright. So we can just dial those back down a little bit, and that adds a little darkness to the edge faces and makes it look like there's some shadow being cast. In terms of an effect, this is actually pretty convincing, but we want the lightning as well. So what we're going to do is expand our lightning layer, and we're going to change the outline color of all of these to white, and I'm going to dial back the width. We're going to adjust these a little bit as we go along, but we'll start with a width of 12. Now I'm going to go ahead and select the T, this is our starting place, and I'm going to add the right on behavior. This makes it so that the outline just sort of gets drawn on over time, and this is what's going to stand in as our lightning that zips around the outline of the text. One problem that we have is that the stroke is going to continue all the way around, and we don't want the lightning to completely surround the text, so we can just dial back the stroke length, and that will make it so the stroke zips around the outside and doesn't completely encompass the shape of the title. With that in place, now it's time to make this look like lightning. So I like the ripple effect. I think that does a pretty good job of giving this wavy lightning-like effect. In this case, maybe we've got it a little bit too slow, so we'll just decrease the duration of our ride-on effect to speed it up a little bit. And that's already looking pretty close, but we can do better. If we come up here to our filters, we can apply a glow effect. There's lots of them, but I think in the case of lightning, dazzle works really well. Dazzle has these sharp edges that come off of each of the corners, and I think it really gives it a lightning-like look. So we can just dial in the dazzle amount and even shrink the width of the lightning bolt line so that it looks more like a thin streak of electricity zipping around the outside of the text. Now, if we rinse and repeat this for every single letter in the title, we are finished with the effect. We have something that looks just like the Thor Love and Thunder title cards. With that one done, the next step in this tutorial series is green screening to show off how I did the green screen effects in the Doctor Strange video. If you want to check that out, make sure to hit the subscribe button right below so you don't miss it. And honestly, your support really does just mean the world to me. I've also got titles, transitions, effects from other YouTubers that I'm going to be recreating, so if you want to catch those, make sure you stick around for that. And honestly, if you have something that I haven't thought of, make sure to leave that in the comments because I get so many of my ideas from the great comments that y'all leave. So thank you for that, and I will catch you on the next one. I'm so excited. You guys are going to really love it.